Yo, what's good, people? It's Outrich from No Agony, and today I'm gonna break down a Regalia beat I made together with Martian.
That is Outrich.
Martian.
Regalia is a sound inspired by games like Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, and various Disney-inspired themes. The style was made by royalansem as well as Iayze and some more people. The Regalia sound is very orchestral sound that is supposed to sound very uplifting, motivational, or heavenly, but there are also various styles of Regalia, but the one I'm gonna be breaking down today with Martian is going to be one of the uplifting ones. So heading into the first layer is a piano layer from Addictive Keys. I used Studio Grand Audience preset. By the way, you can get one bundle of Addictive Keys for free if you got a Focusrite Scarlett, which a lot of people do, so go check that out. There's plenty of videos on YouTube that shows you how to do it, but yeah, go get that because this piano is really good for Regalia. And yeah, this is what the piano looks like. The piano sounds like this. One important thing I would say with pianos and Regalia is to use spaces a lot. There's a lot of big spaces which make it feel very open and kind of like it was played in a castle. And you want to use reverbs and stuff like that later as well. I'll get to that. But yeah, when you make the pattern, you want to make sure it's very open and spacious. With a lot of different like top layers and chord layers and everything. Like there's chords here, then there's a little bit of a melody going on here, and then there's a top line, and then there's some more extra shit going on as well. Now going into the notes, there's two ways to make Regalia pianos, but one thing you always want to have on is 1/6 step or 1/3 step when making Regalia, in my opinion, because one key element of Regalia is using triplets, especially in the violins later. Getting back to the piano, I made the chords and the first top line in regular tempo, not triplets or anything, and you can go by using the full piano and not making or not using triplets, but here in the top line I use triplets, and that's why I need the 1/6 step, which gives it this very cool sound. The top line is very like complex in these melodies, but all you really gotta do is just hear it out, see what works, press some stuff in, remove some stuff that doesn't work. And there's slight like repetitive stuff as well, but you don't really notice it because you change a little bit. You add some stuff, you remove some stuff in order to make it slightly different. And then it feels like it's evolving and then it's going somewhere, which creates this very like moving or motivational feeling. Another thing is the chord progressions you can think about. A lot of the times you want to go upwards rather than anywhere else because it makes it feel motivational, and since we're going for that vibe, this is really good. But sometimes you can go down as well to this chord or something like that. I've done plenty of times and it sounds just fine, but just play around and see what works. By the way, I should mention that this piano or this chord progression is in Lydian mode, or well, it is in a major and minor mode because Lydian is just a mode of a major and minor. So here you can see this would be E minor, but since I start with this chord, which would be the 6th in minor, I like to call it Lydian because this would be like the home chord. So the first chord of the scale is the 6th in minor, and then it would be a Lydian. And if it was this chord, it would be major. It doesn't matter too much what you call it, but I like to do this because then I can name the sample C Lydian, and people will always find the first root note very easily because it is the C. And then you can kind of hear, oh, it's going up a little bit and it's going up a little bit, then it goes down a little bit. So it's easier to find the root notes faster. But I mean, you could just as well just call it E minor or G major. Another really important thing in Regalia is to layer stuff because that makes it feel so much richer and fuller, and then it will give this really heavenly sound. That's one really key aspect. Like you can see here, I layered 3 pianos as well as the top line again with a xylophone. I'll go through the sounds on all of these in 1 second, but let me just play these together. So yeah, as you can hear, it is way richer, way more full sounding. And it was very important for this like really surreal sound to have that, to make it really full. But you also don't want to do too many melodies because then you can't hear what's going on. That's why layering is very nice to do, because it makes it full without changing or making too many melody elements. But yeah, let me show you the mixer preset on the first piano. Here I just got a Valhalla vintage verb, some decay. The concert wave preset, I probably changed it a little bit with the low cut, the decay just a little bit down. Mix full, that's just what I did for this layer. Obviously, you probably don't want to do this with each layers because then it'll be too much, but since I got 4 layers, just one having full reverb is fine. In this style, you also want to have a lot of reverbs and stuff like that too, and make it feel like it's played from heaven, basically. I got an EQ as well, cutting some lows, cutting some highs, bringing down some of the mids, and then just an imager. I use an imager on a lot of the presets because you really want this shit to sound very wide and be very wide in the mix. You don't want it to be mono at all. I mean, you could use this, but I like using imager because you get a little bit of the visual what's going on, and you can also like control which of the frequencies you are steering where. For this one, I just pull up the stereo on everything. Second sound, which is the other piano, which is the Studio Grand Close Hard preset, just layered. Got the Fruity Convolver, Valhalla Supermassive. I believe this is just a mixer preset from the Royal and Reset stash kit. Go check that out. Support them because they really pushed this sound. They made this sound. And yeah, just supporting them, showing them some appreciation for having invented this sound would go a long way for this sound to continue developing. But yeah, it's just a convolver and it's a little bit of Supermassive. But then I also added an imager again to widen it a little bit. Another EQ, cut out some of the lows, bring some of the highs up. But that's really on that one. Then I got a Nexus sound. I believe this is the Nebula piano. This one is pretty standard for Regalia because by itself, without the mixer, it has this kind of built-in delay and reverb that a lot of Regalia has in it. So yeah, as you can hear, even when it got nothing on it, it's still very Regalia-esque. So you can go away without like mixing a lot in your mixer tracks if you just get the right sound selection. But if you want to use more sounds and stuff like that, you're gonna have to learn what you want to put on what to make it sound very Regalia-esque. On it, I put an EQ, just cutting some of the highs and some of the lows. You don't really need to change the sound. It's very good by itself as it is, but then I just widened it a little bit as well. For next layer, I just copied the top line. I like to doing this sometimes, either with xylophone or a Celeste or something more kind of bell sounding. Just copying the top line, putting it in. I believe this one is again from the Regalia stash kit by Royal and Reset. This is just a xylophone preset. I copied the top line, as I said. Got the regular Regalia delay. I mean, it's just the times brought up to the 4th one, and then you can play with the cut and volume. I didn't do it here. Sometimes I like having ping pong on as well. And then I brought down the mix level a little bit. Put a reverb on this one. Yeah, this is, I believe, just the ambience preset. Brought down the mix to 50%. Low cut up to 200. I like doing this on some sounds. It's just a very easy way to get a little bit of reverb on some sounds that don't need too much, but still are a little bit raw by themselves. And there's an EQ, cutting the lows. Imager again, widening it. But that's that for the piano. Now let me head into the violins, which by the way is one of the most important sounds in Regalia. You need to make sure you get this stuff right. Otherwise, you kind of get rid of what makes Regalia Regalia. I can start with mentioning this pattern right here. You could get away with just using this. This is very overused, by the way, but it is because it works so well, right? But this is like the go-to Regalia sound, right? And just repeats. You could even like get away with just doing this over the whole thing and you'd be pretty much fine to make it sound Regalia. But obviously, it's gonna get boring after sometimes you made Regalia, and just keeping doing the same thing over and over not gonna make you improve. So yeah, I still very much so encourage exploring, doing your own stuff, inventing new stuff, because this is still a very new sound. Being there, changing it, evolving it is a very good thing to do as well. As I said here, you really want to have the triplets, so either by going 1/6 step or 1/3, and using triplets for pretty much everything in this violin layer. For this one, I used a big Marcato preset. I use this a lot of the times. I really like it. Sometimes I layer it as well as I did here. This is just a sound from their stash kit again. I mean, it's just an expanded 30 spiccato up and down. I think that's like the go-to Regalia preset as well. But yeah, as I said, I really like this one. Try some other sounds as well. But as long as it's spiccato sounding, it is good. And in triplets. This is what the melody sounds like. This part just loops over. so it's the same. I didn't want to go too crazy on this melody with the strings because the piano is already doing a lot. Sometimes you can even go advanced and even add top notes up here for the next set of 4 bars, but yeah. And I just layered this with another string, as I said, and it sounds like this. And on these, I didn't do too much, just a little EQ and an imager. Same on this one. I wanted these to be kind of raw because if you put too much reverb and stuff on the spiccato, you're kind of getting rid of that attacking feeling that they have, which creates this really epic feeling. I mean, sometimes I like putting a little bit of reverb, but don't overdo it because a lot of sounds already has reverbs. You don't want to make it too much reverbs on everything. And also, as I said, you don't want to like stretch out the sound of the spiccato so it doesn't hit the same. Now, I didn't do one thing that I normally would, which is very important for strings. Just a regalia delay is a fruity delay to bring it up to 4 in time, and you can pretty much just have it like this. It's fine, but sometimes like getting rid of some of the cuts, some of the volume, putting ping pong, don't matter. The standard is just stock delay 2, but bring it up to 4 instead of 3 in the time preset. Like in most of the stuff you would want to do this, but I thought it sounded fine with it. We're fine without it. Alright, next sound. This is a violin, and it is the Sad Sunset violin from SRX Orchestra. Again, most of these sounds are presets from the Regalia stash kit. I just got the stash kit when I made this loop, so I used a lot of stuff from there just to try it out. But yeah, really good kit. Go check it out, as I said. But this is what this violin sounds like by itself. I mean, I didn't go too crazy on this one. Again, we are in triplets, and as you can see, like it is hovering around here, but then it's moving up, basically uplifting. It's good if it goes up. It doesn't have to. It makes it feel like you kind of going up as well with it, which is one key element of making it sounding kind of heavenly if you're going for that. Not much going on. You can see there's some repetition, some changes, but yeah, I mean, the rhythm is pretty similar throughout, but yeah, I went kind of simple on this, and it's fine if you do too. Like the piano and the violin's already gonna go crazy, so if this one does too, there's no kind of sense of catchiness either. So you need some simple layers as well, I guess. On this, just an EQ raising the highs. I feel like a lot of violins kind of lack that, and since everything else kind of is around here in the mix, it's nice to have the violin higher and kind of like you would in plug and beat. Then I put a reverb. I think this is just the ambience preset with the mix turned down. I widened it here this time without an imager because I didn't feel like it needed to be widened too much, but just a little bit. Next sound, again from the stash kit by Reset and Royal. It is the Japanese boy preset in soft leads. But yeah, this pattern super simple as well. I'm gonna play it together with a violin because I think that was kind of important when I made the thing. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to create like a backing noise with the violin, so the violin wasn't too empty, and like these notes are the same as parts of the violin. Like here you got the B and the other one had the B. But here, super simple again. I just wanted another one that was kind of going together with the violin, but didn't do the exact same thing for more ambience in the background. But yeah, on this one, I believe this again, just the mixer preset in their stash kit, convolver, and the supermassive. Another EQ, just boosting the highs and then imager widening it. Next is the church bell, or the classic yeet bell, as many people know it. I mean, you can use this for sure. It is used in a lot of regalia. You can just go use a yeet bell, to be honest. I used the one from their stash kit again, because as I said, I was just checking the kit out. It was really good. And I went simple. You can go more advanced on these bell patterns than you would on a yeet melody. Yeah, I went simple for this one, because I didn't want to go do too crazy stuff with all the layers in this loop. Just got a little regalia delay on it with reverb again, ambience preset 50%, and EQ cutting lows. Next layer is the trumpet layer. It is a glow layer, as they label it, which you're gonna hear why. I just took the chords and layered them with the trumpets to make it a bit more orchestral and epic sounding. Yeah, it has that glow feel. I put a shaper box on it with an automation. Every 2 bars, just taking down the volume a little bit, so when it comes back, it hits a little harder instead of just being a continuous wave. And then I put an EQ. Again, super simple. And then the last layer is 2 vocal leads stacked together. This is the vocal lead menu as well as the vocal lead one. And I stacked them together because I didn't think one on its own stood out enough in the entirety of the loop. So I layered them to make them more rich and full. Yeah, very simple. I mean, this just copied over and then I changed this note to this note because I believe it sounded better with a chord. On these, I just put a vintage verb. I think that's the regular preset that you would get when you open the plugin. Low cut, up, decay down a little bit, mix down a little bit. Sometimes like try playing with the shape because it changes a lot of the reverb sound. Sometimes it's nice to have the tag lower and the size lower. It's just the stock one. It's the EQ, and then again, just a normal Regalia delay. And it's the exact same presets here. I just copied them over. Oh yeah, that's what the loop sounds like. Now we're on to Martian breaking down drums. Peace.
Hey, what's good with y'all? I'm Martian, and today I'm gonna be breaking down a Regalia beat that me and Utrecht made. Let's get into it. First, I'm gonna show you the drums, then I'm gonna go over the mixing, and then I'm gonna give some tips on arrangement and all that good stuff. But our first edit was a hi-hat. For this beat, I chose a triplet bounce instead of a two-step bounce. You can use any of these in the Regalia, but I just wanted to use triplets for this one. So yeah, let's listen how this sounds like. So it repeats 4 bars one after another. But this pattern, I tried to put in a lot of pauses and stuff to give the beat more bounce. I played around with the velocities and a bit with the pan, just a little bit. Next, I added just a regular clap. It's like the most complex clap pattern of all time, to be honest, you know what I'm saying? Alright, so next I added some open hats. So they just added to the bounce of the beat and it complemented the hi-hat, and it also had an impact when the 808 is playing. Next, I added some snares and some rims. Next, I just had 2 little perks, one that was sounding like this, just at the end of 4 bars. Another one was just a chant. Next, we got the 808. So for this beat, I kept the 808 simple so that the artist has more space. And I just added a little triplet roll at the end of 4 bars, with the velocities going up. For like a bridge part, I added a sub bass with the same pattern. And I also had another 808, was just a spins 808, kind of layered with the CTM 808. Now let's listen how the drums sound by themselves. Don't like, you know what I'm saying? So now I'm gonna go over the mixing part. For the clap, I just added a filter because I didn't like the high end of the clap sample. On the hi-hat, I added a fruity phaser, some reverb. Since Regalia is this majestic type of feel, you want them beat to spread out. So then I added an ozone 9 imager to stereoize the sound even more. And then just a pancake, so it goes a bit from left to right. And then I also put just a regular EQ cutting the lows for the melody, so it doesn't clash with the 808 when it's playing. Now we get the 808 mix, which I put on both the 808s and the sub bass. And you can find this preset in the Royal and Reset Stash Kit, but I just tweaked it a little bit. It's just a fruity distortion, an EQ, and then I just added an ozone 9 imager. So now I'm gonna go over the arrangement. What I've realized in Regalia is that the beats most of the times have a long intro. So I had a 24-bar intro, then like a 16-bar verse, and I also had a delayed drop after the 24 bars, which sounds like this. So for this drop, I cut 2 bars of the 808. I cut 2 parts of the melody, which were 2 pianos, for 1 bar before the drop, so it has a bigger impact later. I cut the clap, I cut the hi-hat, and I cut the open hat too. Then we got this sword effect, also from the Stash Kit, which sounds like this. And this gives you some Final Fantasy, some video game vibes, you feel me? After the sword effect, we got 2 rises and 2 crashes, which sound like this. And that just gives bigger impact when the beat is dropping. After these 16 bars, we got like a mini 8-bar bridge with some of the drums playing and the sub bass playing, which sounds like this. And this just slows down the beat. Like it gives the beat more room to grow because you can't have the action the whole time. So then after 8-bar bridge, you can have the other 808 playing, which then has a bigger impact because before that, the beat was slowing down. After the 808 playing, we got 8 bars with just the melody playing. And after that, we have just the 16 bars from before the drop. And after that, we have just 16 bars of the first drop playing. And then we have just the outro playing with the tags and just some parts of the melody. Alright, so if anyone wants loops like this one for free, feel free to check out our loop channel for weekly loop kits. And also leave a like, comment, and sub if you haven't already. And tell us what you want to see next in our comments. The support is motivating us to keep bringing y'all quality content. So yeah, that's it. And the Martian wisdom of the day is to put your 808s in key. That's it. I'm all gang.